Hey guys, Ilya here, and I keep talking about tier 10 light tanks which got buffed in 9.20.1, and now it's turn to discuss the Frenchie, AMX 13105. Similarly to Sheridan, it got its alpha damage improved from 360 to 390, and it also got one extra magazine, of ammo, which is always nice for French autoloaders because they often run out of ammo or run out of standard ammo, so you have to spam some gold in them just because you have no more standard ammo left. That will be less likely in this tank with one extra magazine. But the biggest change, of course, is its alpha damage. How does that feel now? And to my surprise, I never really liked this tank so much. And now, to my surprise, this tank started to feel a lot better, just like Sheridan, from some 30 alpha damage improvement. How is that? Well, that comes from the way you use this gun. Because it's not as simple and it's not like Batchat. There is a difference. Well, you see, Batchat has a lot of hit points. Batchat has some final accuracy, and if you install, vents, if you install food, if you have bras and arms, your accuracy will be more or less okay. So Batchat is able to snipe. Like in the first part of the battle, when there is no opportunity to drive into someone, Batchat is okay at sniping. Like, it's not super effective, but you have 5 attempts, and if you put 3 out of 5 in, it's 1200 damage. And since you were sniping, you deal it like for free, for nothing. It's a good start. So Batchat can do that. 13105 is horrible at sniping, and this is what will shock you comparing to AMX 1390. You see, the whole French line had very, very comfortable guns, where you just point your gun at the enemy, you wait a tiny bit, and then you unload the whole magazine in a go. You don't need to wait even extra before each next shot, or you need to wait just a tiny bit. The gun didn't deal so much damage with every shot, and the clip wasn't really that big. You didn't deal so much damage with the whole magazine, but it was easy to put everything into the enemy at, well, pretty much any distance. Which is not the case with AMX 13105. So AMX 13105 is very different from the rest of the line, I wanted to say. Because it's very bad at dealing damage at a distance. It has 0.42 accuracy, it has Batchat's gun handling, you have to aim before each next shot if you shoot at a distance, and you have terrible shell velocity, 1000 meters a second. Even though that's a PCR, I don't know why it's a PCR, because AP rounds usually fly like that. If it has such a shell velocity, why not to give it AP rounds so that they will have better normalization? That would be a little help for this tank. Anyway, it still misses all the time from distance, and if you try to shoot at 400 meters, you will deal 400 damage, one shot, out of 3, and then you reload for 30 seconds. Which feels bad, so you will deal damage terribly at a distance. You have to cut the distance, and that's where you really feel that alpha damage improvement. Because this tank is a very strong trader, but you have to do it very carefully. You see, Batchat can drive into the enemy who has 2000 hit points, take 2 shots and kill that enemy, and you already have 2000 damage. This is impossible with 13105. When you drive into the enemy, you must take at most 1 shot. You don't have any hit points, and you will deal only 1200 damage back. So if you take 2 shots, and most tanks on tier 9 and 10 have like 400 alpha damage, imagine that you take 800 damage and you deal 1200 damage. Well, that's a horrible trade. You're an autoloader, he's not. And you take 800 and you deal 1200. It's terrible. I mean, the alpha improvement helped this tank because now it can deal more damage by taking the same amount of damage. So this ratio of say, trading saldo, trading efficiency improved, and you really feel it. But you still have to be very careful when you deal damage. You have to plan everything correctly. You see the enemy, you think, that's his alpha, that's his reload. Is there anyone around? Is there anyone around that hasn't been spotted yet, you have to predict that, and then you think, okay, I will drive in like that, I escape like that, because you maybe won't kill him, and then you perform this thing. And your only advantage is your quick reload of the magazine, because after you did it, you look left, you look right, you look at the minimap, you relocate a bit, you're already ready to do that again. But you have to plan everything a lot better than you do in Batchat. Batchat can deal massive amount of damage, so even if you take 2 shots in Batchat, you will still deal 2000. So you have to be extremely careful, not like I was here, because I was planning to take a shot from ML1, then I know that I have quicker intro clip than ML, so I will put my second shot quicker than he puts his second shot into me. But then I couldn't use it, this advantage, and my plan failed. I could run away from ML, you know, run around the rock. That's something that Batchat has also troubles with because of long reload. But Grilly was coming to me for a rescue, so I wasn't bothering myself with running from ML. So this trade wasn't really performed very well. So I took a shot intentionally, but I couldn't use the advantage that I got from it. And there we go, I lose all my hit points just because I made 2 mistakes. You have very small health pool, 1400 hit points, that's very little. That's like RU251 or T49 on tier 9. And you know, tier 9 gets a lot better matchmaking. Tier 9 sees like at most 5 tier 10 tanks. Although I have to say that tier 10 lights feel see tier 8 tanks pretty often, but still you sometimes get full tier 10 battles. And there it feels not that great, because with your penetration, just be ready that your 234 does not penetrate object 140 in the front reliably. And unlike, you know, T100LT, which has the same bad penetration, or Sheridan, I don't have their problems with that just because, you know, I press 2 key, I wait 6 seconds, and I will penetrate 140 in the front. 13105 can't suddenly switch its ammo type. So that is something you have to plan. If you see 140, you will not pen it. You can say, yeah, 230 is enough to penetrate it. Yes, it is. If he stands frontally and doesn't move a single bit. If he turns just a little bit, you don't penetrate 140. You don't penetrate 62A. You don't penetrate T54. Although I think you do penetrate like 121 and like the Chinese mats, I think you do pen them. But you don't pen the Soviet, you have to be ready for that. So if you want to be effective damage dealer in this tank, you have to know all the reloads of the enemies. You have to know their alphas. You have to predict where enemies are likely to be. You have to know armored places of enemies, and you have to know how does that armor feel against your penetration. Angled, not angled. You need a lot of knowledge if you want to be effective. This tank feels really good in Sam'ensk. It doesn't feel that great in Westfield when it comes to damaging because there are distances, you will miss a lot. But in Sam'ensk it feels good, provided you know what you're doing, provided you calculate everything very precisely, provided you know all your enemies. So if you want to train your Batchat skill, Batchat's, you know, trading skill, 13105 will feel really nice. If not, this tank will still be interesting to play just because it's a good scout as well. I'm talking about it as if it's only a damage dealer. No. It's an unstable damage dealer comparing to Sheridan. Sheridan is a stable damage dealer. 13105 is unstable, but it's an autoloader which will allow you to make some, you know, damaging records battles. Unlike Sheridan. But sometimes you will just miss everything. And when there is a huge distance, you just go scouting. So overall, 13105, I find this tank comfortable. I find this tank with a clear role, which is unique role for this tank. It's really special, it's unusual, it's interesting to play, and now it's also effective. It can trade more effectively with this extra alpha damage. So I recommend this tank for grinding at the moment. I think it's really worth it. I would say it's second, third best light. It's really hard to rank them, you know, like 1, 2, 3. There is number 1 T100, and then Sheridan and 13105 are both like number 2. They are very different, but they're both really worth it. If you have this tank, you can argue with that, or you can agree with me in the comments. or you can just leave your opinion about what you saw in this video, as I just had my last mistake. I didn't plan to slip down and I died there. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. See you in the next videos.